What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Now, today I want to give you guys an update on Bitcoin, talk a little bit about what's going on with its price, what's going on with the fundamental metrics that we like to track here, and then we're going to take a quick look at what's happening because we just got some news from a top company about a crazy price prediction that I think you're going to want to hear about. And so with that said, let's start getting into some of this and let's catch up on crypto, my friends. Don't forget, this is a brand new channel, so if you do find the information valuable, please do subscribe. But of course, let's catch up on crypto. Now, starting off with the technicals, what we can see is what we talked about yesterday is starting to play out. You know, I told you all that although people were going long and everybody was buying and the crypto fear and greed index was still pumping, that I was still being a little bit cautious. You know, over the last few days, I have been being a little cautious because I do understand that we're at the top side of this massive macro channel that we've been in for the last 7 months. And it's going to be a battle. It's not just going to be easy to clear this resistance. It's going to be a battle. We're going to need good support. We're going to need good momentum. We're going to need a good foundation. And quite frankly, we might not get it right now. It seems like a lot of people are waiting out the presidential election. It seems like a lot of people want to see how that goes before they determine how they feel about this market. And so because of that, sitting there and buying and going long at this point has been quite a bit of a risky thing to do, something that we've not been doing here. And so the fact that we are seeing this market and Bitcoin kind of pulling back a little bit in the short term isn't really all that surprising. And I do think it very well may continue. My current thought process here is that Bitcoin's going to hunt for a higher low and try to use that higher low to then head for another breakout attempt. I think that's what's going to happen. And so because of that, what we're looking at, and you know, we have major support levels. We have one right here between $65,000 and $64,000. We have an ascending level of support right here. We have macro support here, macro support here. We obviously have some Fibonacci support that'll play a factor that'll pop in right around roughly $62,000 to $61,000 down here. And so at this given point, I'm really just sitting back waiting and watching. I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not going long on super big leverage or anything like that. And I'm also not selling. I'm just allowing Bitcoin to come back down to these macro support levels and see which one holds, because I'm pretty damn confident that we're going to see one of these hold as long as we don't have any terrible news or something like that. And so from a technical perspective, my whole game plan with Bitcoin right now is just to do some small dollar cost averaging, buying a little bit at each one of these key levels of support and look for one of these higher lows to try to bounce the price outside of this macro structure that we've been in for the last 6 to 7 months. So nothing's really changed here from a price perspective. I would say things are looking good. They're looking healthy. Nothing to be concerned about at all. Now, from a fundamental perspective, I would actually say that things are looking a little bit better today than they were yesterday. Your 4-hour average RSI is now sitting nearly at that weak zone towards the oversold zone, which is great. It means that it's becoming a better and better buying opportunity on the shorter time frames. You look at your 24-hour, this one's also now right below the neutral zone, which means that we're now kind of in the better half of when you want to be looking to buy some cryptos. Your 1 week average RSI is also sitting around that 45 level, which is in the better half of the buy zone for your average RSI. And so from an RSI perspective, things are looking pretty damn good. You look at something like your visual screener at this exact moment, everybody's going short, everyone's closing down their long trades, expecting that this market is going to continue downwards. And typically speaking, when people get worried like this and start expecting the market to go down, that's exactly when I like to buy. And so because of that, I like to see that people are starting to get a little bit more nervous because it has always proved to be a better buying opportunity. You go out to something like your liquidation charts right here. Currently, boom, liquidation on the dailies are looking very good. A lot more liquidations will happen if this market moves upwards as a result of people opening those short trades. And I do believe that this market historically will move in the direction of the most liquidations. So because of this, on the 1 day and on the 7 day, we're seeing this look very good. And so because of these main few reasons, I do think we're actually in a pretty decent time to be doing a little bit of dollar cost averaging at these macro support zones. Now, from a grand scheme of things, I am still being a little cautious because we have to be realistic in the sense. Crypto fear and greed index is still at a 71. People are still bullish. And even though they're doing some shorting right now, the general sentiment is that this market will move upwards. And just that alone could continue at a little bit lower for a little while prior to trying to make that move. And so because of that, although I am doing some dollar cost averaging throughout these key moves to the downside, I'm not doing a lot of buying or a lot of leverage buying right now. Of course, you can trade 100x leverage, but I wouldn't recommend it just quite simply because this is a risky time to be doing so. Now, guys, don't forget, if you do want to trade some crypto and some Bitcoin on up to 100x leverage yourself, you can check out that Margex link down in the description below. You're going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses and rewards. And the coolest part about it, guys, you don't need to KYC. You don't need to use a VPN. That means you don't give them your personal information. You just sign up, start trading, get up to $10,000 in bonuses, again, with that affiliate link down in the description below. But overall, from a fundamental and technical perspective, I would just say things are looking pretty healthy. Things are looking pretty good. Mark is pulling back off a major point of resistance, leading a lot of people to start getting a little bit more nervous, opening up some short trades, closing down their long trades, which is allowing liquidations to grow to the top side, which again, historically will push this market's price upwards eventually. And so overall, things are looking pretty damn good. Now, going into more of a news perspective, boy, did we get some interesting news today. Just in, $725 billion Bernstein predicts that Bitcoin will hit $200,000 in 2025, calling that a conservative guess. Now, some of the key reasons in which they did this were just quite simply because of what is happening from an institutional perspective. And so I want to talk to you all a little bit about what they said, what they mean, and, kind of give my take and my thoughts on that. Now, what we can see here is that, of course, again, Bernstein is damn near $1 trillion company. So this isn't just some noob analyst giving their thoughts. This is a massive company that has clients and partnerships and people in their network that this is going to impact. Okay, so don't take this lightly. And they go out to say that Bernstein's research analyst released a detailed Bitcoin investing guide that pointing out the rise in institutional involvement in Bitcoin investing, along with the rising role of Bitcoin as a corporate treasury asset. And that's interesting because this starts to take it, again, not so much from the hands of being in the hands of retail investors like you and I, but starting to make Bitcoin something that is also going to be operational within the world of the corporate world, right? Having businesses buying it, keeping in their savings, keeping in their funds or as reserves, treasuries, whatever. That's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different ballgame, and I do like that a lot. And the fact that this company is nearly $1 trillion company thinks that just goes to show they're seeing it happen on the back end. Now, what they say is that, and we're not going to read the whole thing, don't worry, just the major points. But they say, according to Bernstein, global asset managers have increased their holdings of Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs to nearly 60 billion from just 12 billion in 2022. It described the launch of Bitcoin ETFs as the most successful in the history of ETFs, with 18.5 billion in inflows year to date since its introduction in January, and it's higher than that now. It's like 22 billion now, which is absolutely nuts. They go on to quote that institutional players flocking to Bitcoin, ETFs are proving to be the entry point for large-scale investments in digital assets. And they do clearly believe that this is not only just going to continue, but we're going to start to see it kind of serve as more of a corporate treasury asset as well, just going to show how bullish on it they truly are. Now, they say on its path to $200,000 by 2025, a lot of this is going to be just due to the mass adoption they're seeing. They say with institutional adoption accelerating, they expect Bitcoin to triple from its current levels. They also expect that larger financial institutions are anticipated to play a more dominant role as the market matures. They also hint that they think that Wall Street could eventually replace Satoshi Nakamoto as a top wallet holder by the end of this year, which is absolutely nuts. Now, again, some of the key reasons, and we're not going to dive too much into this, but I will leave this link down and below for you, that they think that this can happen is due to it rising as a corporate treasury asset. Now, obviously some like MicroStrategy and different companies like that. Consolidation in the Bitcoin mining industry, obviously, which has been having a major ramp up recently. Bitcoin's mining role in the AI revolution, which is destiny. It's fate for AI to, kind of lead the world into a different state almost. And of course, crypto is going to play a big part in that. And then obviously the future of Bitcoin ETFs, mainstream adoption and stuff like that. And so because of all of these things combined, they do believe Bitcoin could hit $200,000 just next year, which is an absolutely insane price target. And I can only imagine what would happen to the rest of the crypto market if this happened. Now, the question then lies, right? Do I think that Bitcoin's going to hit $200,000 next year? I particularly don't. I think it's gonna, although I do believe that a lot of what is happening from an institutional basis is going to play a very important role in getting crypto to where they want it to get to and getting up to, say, $200,000, I do believe it's also going to take an impact from retail investors. I think Bitcoin getting up to 200K is going to also need, to some degree, if we're going to do this within the next year, retail investors to come back. And what we have noticed and what we have seen is that retail isn't back yet. And so, yes, although we're getting billions and billions of dollars in inflows, crypto's barely been able to even, or Bitcoin specifically, recently has barely even been able to set a new all-time high as a result of it. And so I do think getting us to 200K is going to be also a combination of what is happening from a fundamental perspective with institutions, corporations, and ETFs, etc. But I also think it's going to be a mixture of, or adding to the mixture, retail investors and your everyday person coming back in and starting to invest. And I just don't think that retail investors in the next year are going to be in a good enough financial position to really make an impact like we did back in, say, 2021 when we had stimulus checks and money printing and all that. Now, if the government goes into mass money printing, sure, that may be the case, and I could see this happening. It eventually will happen in my brain, because the only way that especially the US government can get their way out of the debt that it's in is to force inflation. Forcing inflation causes the value of the debt that you owe to other people to decrease, and it's the only way realistically that we're going to be able to get out of this. And in moments like this in which they're forcing inflation to increase, that does inevitably increase the value of risk on assets because they are running somewhat in hand. And so because of that, I do think eventually, right, I think eventually we're going to see Bitcoin hit 200K as a result of all of these, money printing, inflation, and all that good stuff. But is that going to happen in 1 year without retail investors? I don't think so. And I just don't think retail investors are going to be back within the next year, not in full force like we were in 2021. And so I think it'll take a little bit more time. I think $120,000, $130,000 for Bitcoin sometime next year is very possible. And so that's kind of still where my price target goes. But obviously, if we hit 200K, I'll be a happy puppy and I won't be making any complaints. And so I just wanted to give you my true, honest thoughts. Sometimes I feel like I can be somewhat of a perma bear here on the channel, talking about news and only talking about the good thing. Or sorry, I said perma bear. I meant perma bull. A perma bull here on the channel and talking about all the good things that happen in the crypto market. But I do like to be honest with you guys and just say, look, I do or don't agree, and this is why. And so I'd love to hear down in the comments below, what are your thoughts? Where do you think that Bitcoin can get? What's your thesis? Are you investing right now? Or are you kind of pulling back, sitting back, watching? What are your overall thoughts? And of course, I can't wait to talk to you all down there, and I can't wait to catch you all next time. Peace out, everybody.